England against Norway will be one of the most anticipated quarterfinal matchups that we will see. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys a preview of this match, guys. Like I said, I will be previewing each of the quarterfinal matches, semifinals, and obviously the final matches, along with my regular prediction videos, because I feel like these games are just too good that I can't only do one prediction video for each round. It's got to be more than that. So like I said, I am previewing every single match. If you enjoyed this preview, remember to subscribe to the channel, guys. I'm almost at 10,000 subscribers and I can't do it without you guys. But Norway against England, guys, this is going to be a very, very interesting game. I have a lot of Norwegian fans, and I will say I am a big fan of Norway. I know Norway beat Italy, but I do really like this Norwegian team. I love this Norwegian attack, and I think this game will be absolutely incredible. And England, to be honest, I haven't been fully convinced with them in this tournament, but in this game, I do think they have some advantages going for them that some other teams in the quarterfinals may not have. Now, as you can see at the time of recording this video, this game is being taken place in 4 days at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, guys, I'm going to first talk about England, then I will talk about Norway, and then I'm going to talk about this match preview. But guys, let's start off with England, because before we get into anything with England, I want to talk about their last game where they beat Mexico 3-2. Now, guys, I already said before this game started, this is going to be a very, very tough game for England, and it may be the toughest game throughout this tournament because, guys, throughout recent World Cups, recent Euros, we've seen England make it 2 semifinals, 2 quarterfinals, and we know England have the players, guys, especially in this attack. We know they have some incredible players, a lot of great Premier League players. You look at their attack, their wingers with Saka, Gordon, Rashford, whoever it is, in the attack, in the striker position with Harry Kane, with Bellingham sitting behind them. We know that that's a star-studded attack. But for me, the two biggest things with England was their defense and also their mentality. Now, first, I'm going to start off with their mentality because, guys, against Mexico, I already said this is going to be the toughest game that England play. The atmosphere, the fans. Mexico so far in this tournament keeping a clean sheet in every single game they play, guys. Mexico have been one of the best teams this tournament. And for England to come to that crowd in the Azteca, a stadium where Mexico have not lost in, I think, 13 years. And for them to, first of all, score that 2 goals by Jude Bellingham while they were on the back foot. Obviously, Mexico got the goal back. Then to score the goal with Harry Kane, and even after being down a man with that red card from Joao Quansah, to still defend the way they did, guys. If you look at the last 30 minutes of that game, it was all Mexico. But England defended very compactly. Their goalkeeper, Jordan Pickford, was very good coming for claims of crosses, and England got the win, guys. I'm telling you, this game against Mexico, in terms of a mentality, will be the toughest game that England play in this World Cup. So I don't think there's a question about the mentality of these players and the manager, Thomas Tuchel. I think if they can get by Mexico, then theoretically, they could get by any other team. Now, guys, obviously, if we look at Norway, Norway are individually, in terms of talent, in my opinion, a stronger team than Mexico. Maybe not the whole team, but especially that attack and that midfield. So, guys, it's going to be very interesting to see how this England defense is able to cope with this Norway attack, guys. Now, for me, there are a few things in terms of tactically that England must do in this game. And the first thing is they cannot give Erling Haaland space, guys. We saw in Norway's game against Brazil where Gabriel gave Haaland a little bit of space, and Haaland can take a little bit of space and he can score 1-2 goals with that. That's exactly what he did, guys, because Haaland is such a tall player, but not only being such a tall physical player, but also having the speed and the ability to quickly change positions like he does, which a lot of tall players don't have. That's, first of all, what makes Haaland one of the best strikers in the world. But second of all, that's why he's so scary for defenders. So you look at Ezri Konsa and Guehi in this game, and what they must do is they must always be on either side of Haaland, and one of them must always be in about an arm's distance from Haaland. If Haaland gets more space than that, then that gives him the 1-2 step advantage to run by them and to get balls off the crosses, to get into the box and to get into the position that Haaland likes to score goals. So one of these defenders, in my opinion, always has to be at least an arm length from Haaland or less. They need to be right on him. Now, I think this will also be very important for the midfielders in Rice and Elliot Anderson, because obviously, guys, we know the way Norway play. Both Berg and Berg, okay, I can't do it. Berg and Berg, bro, for my dyslexic ass, I can't do it. Patrick and Sander, we know, are the more defensive midfielders, and Odegaard likes to push up and kind of free roam just behind Haaland. Whether he's to the left of him, to the right of him, he kind of free roams. So Odegaard must be guarded by either Rice or Anderson at all times. And both of these midfielders in England's lineup need to be very compact. And to be honest, they need to really pay a lot of attention to the middle of the pitch, guys. This is going to be a very interesting game because we look at many other teams. And in some teams, it's the width, the wide areas, that's where they're at their strongest. But in my opinion, both of these two teams are at the strongest in the middle of the pitch, with Haaland, and for England with Kane and Bellingham. But guys, defensively, that's what I think England has to do to guard Erling Haaland, is to always stay compact, to always have two defenders very close to him and one of them within an arm's length distance of him. And in terms of the midfield, they need to watch Odegaard because he's that more creative player in the middle. Now, for England to try and win this game and to score in this game, they just need to keep doing what they've been doing. Guys, like I already mentioned, the middle of the pitch is where a lot of this game I do think will be played. But for Norway, I think their central defenders in Hegem and Ayer are probably the weakest area of this team. So that's why I think Kane and Bellingham will be very, very important in this game. Now, guys, if we look at England so far in this tournament, everything has been going through Kane and Bellingham. They've been everywhere. They've been the main players for this team. Obviously, we've seen some assists from the likes of Saka, from the likes of Gordon. But guys, 4 goals and an assist for Bellingham and 6 goals and an assist for Kane. And they are going to be heavily needed in this England attack in this game. They're going to need to apply all the pressure on Norway center backs if they want to score in this game. And if they do that, if we can see a goal from Kane and Bellingham, then I do think England can win this game. Now, if we look at Norway, what do Norway have to do to win this game, guys? For me, obviously, Norway are definitely the underdogs, but I've said it from even before the start of the World Cup, Norway are the dark horses. And a big reason for that, in my opinion, is yes, obviously their squad, their attack, their midfield, but I'm a big fan of Ståle Solbakken. I think the way he manages his team is very, very well. I think so far in this World Cup, he's probably been a top 5 manager in terms of tactics for Norway. I love the way he utilizes the midfielders, the wingers, and obviously Haaland. And I think he's very, very good manager. Now, one player I haven't been a big fan of at this World Cup for Norway is Alexander Sorloth. I don't mind Sorloth. I think he's a very good player, but honestly, at this tournament, I think he's been very poor. I think he's been very, very poor. I think in all the games he played, obviously he didn't play in that rotated lineup against France, but in the other 4 games, as you can see, even by the FootMob stats, they're giving him a 6.4 and 6.2 in each respective game, which is very, very poor, guys. I think that Sorloth has not been very good this tournament. Now, can Sorloth provide something in this game? He could, because being a taller player, it may be a very different profile than a fullback like O'Reilly is used to, obviously versing a lot of very short players. But I think Sorloth needs to perform in this game. Both him and Nusa need to perform if Norway want to win this game. Why is that? Because Haaland will be very, very heavily guarded by England. Konza, Guehi, and even in the midfield, they're going to be always occupying Haaland and Odegaard. They're always going to be occupying them. So the other players like Nusa and like Sorloth are going to be needed to increase the width of this team and to help from the wide areas. Now, obviously, Nusa is a player who very often does cut inside, which can also benefit them as well. You know, we've seen Nusa when Norway were playing, who is it? In this game, where Norway were playing against Ivory Coast, we saw Nusa cut inside and get that brilliant finish. But to be honest, that's really the only goal that we've seen Nusa score in this tournament, and I want to see more from that. And against England, with Haaland being heavily occupied, you could see Nusa cut inside and score another goal like that. He definitely could. And especially in that right back position, I do think that's been a heavily rotated, a very uncertain position with England. Probably the most uncertain position. Obviously, we saw Jarrell Quansah play there in the last game. We've seen Reece James, but he suffered with a bit of injury. We see Jed Spence, but he hasn't been the best. So I think that right back position is definitely a very weak point for this England team. Therefore, I think Nusa will be very, very important in this game. If he can showcase what we all know that he can, then he can possibly score in this game. But I do think the wide positions will be very important for Norway, and if they can perform very well, it will be unexpected for England. Now, we look at this Norwegian midfield of Patrick and Sander. I think these guys have been fantastic this tournament. I think they've been very good. I think Patrick, in every single game that he's played, he's been incredible going forward, helping out with the attack. Obviously, he got 2 assists, 1 against Senegal and 1 against Ivory Coast. I think these players are very, very important. But guys, the defense is where Norway are going to have to play very well this game to beat England. Players like Wolfe and players like Ryerson are so important. I cannot stress it enough. These players are so important just to once again increase the width of this team with these overlapping runs, crossing it into the middle, trying to find Haaland. These players are very important. Now, guys, the center backs need to have a good game. Hagem and Ayer need to perform well. Now, obviously, we know both of these players are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". Like, they're humongous. They're giants, right? They're huge. So it's going to be very hard for England to get anything off set pieces. But where they do struggle is against players that are very quick, that are very shifty. And those are players like Saka and players like Gordon. So that's another reason why both Wolfe and Ryerson are very important. Because if you let Saka or Gordon get into the middle, these Norwegian defenders will struggle. They will not be able to guard their quickness, their speed, and they will struggle. So Ryerson and Wolfe need to always watch Saka and Gordon. They can't let them cut inside. And Hagem and Ayer need to always watch Harry Kane, because Harry Kane, obviously, we know he's not the most shifty players, but we saw, for example, in that game against DR Congo, guys. If we go to that DR Congo versus England game, Kane didn't even look at the net and he still scored. It was a crazy goal. No goalkeeper is saving that. If he has a shot like that against Nyland, I'm sorry, but Nyland is not saving it. Nyland is not saving a shot like that. So the Norwegian defenders, the center backs, need to always watch Harry Kane. They need to watch every single shot. And once again, them, similar to the England defenders, need to play very close to him. But they can leave him a bit more space due to the fact that he doesn't have that same pace as Erling Haaland, but he has the incredible finishing. So if they leave him space, they need to make sure he doesn't get a shot off, because if he does, the chances of it going him are fairly high. Now, finally, I want to quickly look at Nyland, because Nyland has been a player that at the start of the tournament, I was very critical of. I didn't think he was Norway's best option. Now, if we look at Nyland in the last game against Brazil, he was very good. He saved that penalty. He made a lot of good saves. And to be fair, even against Ivory Coast, he was good as well. In the group stages, I didn't think he was that good. But to be fair, recently, he has been playing pretty good. In this game, Nyland will need to perform well, because we know that England are going to have shots. We know it. So Nyland needs to make the saves if Norway want to win. Now, guys, as for a little preview of how I think this game is going to go, I think this game may be a lot different than some people may expect. Obviously, we know Norway are a team who don't mind allowing the other team to have more possession and try and hit you on the counter attack. We've seen it many times. We've seen it in the qualifiers. We've seen it in the World Cup. That's one thing with Norway's specialty. And another thing with Norway is they have very good depth, especially in the attack off the bench, with players like Sheldrup, players like Oscar Bob. We've seen these players come off the bench many times, and they're very creative players, very energetic players. So making these substitutions for these players in the 60th or 70th minute will bring on another layer of energy that Norway didn't have before. So that's where Norway can really hurt you when it comes to later on in the game. But when you look at England and you remember their game against Mexico, England didn't mind Mexico having more of the possession, guys. Mexico had 2/3 of the possession throughout the whole game. England were okay sitting back. They were okay absorbing pressure, but defensively, they were very strong. Pickford was able to get to a lot of the crosses, so Mexico weren't able to score. So I feel like this game, it could really go either way, because I think both of these teams are okay with allowing the opposition to have more possession, but I do think England, at the end of the day, would still want to have more of the ball over a team like Norway. And obviously, with that result against Mexico, I feel like they will be very confident in their head. But at the same time, that is an area that Norway could possibly counter and score against England. So guys, as for a slight prediction into this game, I think it's going to be very close. I think this game is going to be an extremely close game. Like I said, I think in terms of mentality, I think the Mexico game was the hardest game for England. In terms of the player quality, I think this may be the hardest game for England, because I've said it from the start of the tournament, I don't fully trust this England defense. And Norway have one of the best attacks in the world. But at the same time, I don't fully trust Norway's defense. And England also have one of the best attackers in the world in both Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham. So guys, it's going to be a very interesting game. I could see multiple goals in this game. I could see this being a very high scoring game. I could see England getting multiple goals. Norway, I do think, will score, but I think England will win this game, guys. I think England will win. I would love it for Norway to make it to the semifinals. That would be crazy. But with what England showed me against Mexico, they can concede goals, but they will outscore you. And we know that Norway can do that too, but I think England might just have too much for Norway. I could see this game going to possibly into penalties or even going into extra time, but I do think England will end up winning this game. But guys, that is the end of my England versus Norway preview. It's going to be an absolutely insane game this Saturday, and honestly, I don't know who's going to advance. I think both teams have a fairly equal chance. Like I said, I would slightly favor England as the favorites, but I think if defensively they're not good enough, we could always see Haaland get a goal. We saw what he did against Brazil, that first goal, and even that second goal from outside the box where he had 2 feet of space. You cannot leave Norwegian attackers any space, but same with the Norwegian defense, they cannot leave Harry Kane with any space, because we've seen the goals he's been able to score, and he will do that again if you leave him too much space. But nonetheless, it'll be a very, very close game and one of the most anticipated quarterfinal games as well. But as always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Remember to stay tuned for my other previews of the other 2 games, Spain versus Belgium, and the other game, I don't know yet, Argentina versus someone else at the time of recording this video. We're going into extra time in Switzerland versus Colombia, so I'm not sure who it's going to be yet. But if you did enjoy this video, like I said, remember to like, subscribe, comment if you have any questions, and remember to stay tuned for more videos.